Hi everyone, welcome to my new Tableau training campaign. In this series, I will guide you step by step from the very basics to advanced analytics and dashboards. Actually, it will be a practical, easy to follow training that helps you quickly build confidence using Tableau for data analysis and visualization. Okay, in the session one, it's like kind of an accelerator session where I will be covering most of the needed information to quickly start building your own templates and dashboard from only one session. And all the remaining sessions will be jumping into a very deep details, which will really can take you from a very basics to a very, very advanced level up to expert level. So before start covering for the session, I would like first to take you through the overall content of the complete training, just to see how far we'll go in this training. However, in session one, we'll be covering mainly these 5 points, and as I mentioned, we'll be covering the points which is the things which will be covering the most needed information. So in session one, we'll be first covering the first 2 points, which is relating to Tableau platforms of review. And this is just explaining what kind of tools we have in Tableau, what kind of things we need to learn, and what is the differences between the overall Tableau platforms. And the second one, I will be guiding you in case if you don't have any background about Tableau, how to do the installation, from which link you can download the Tableau and start using it directly to start to have interactive training and to learn by practice. Then the rest 3 points, as I mentioned before, to be covering the most needed information. So you can skip point 1 and 2 if you're already familiar about it, and just navigate the YouTube video description about the needed points which I will be adding in the video description, the timeline of the Tableau. So now let's go to first to the complete content of the course. Then we'll be going through the first 2 points, which is Tableau platforms and installation guide. So as you can see here in this mind mapping figure, this is the complete training content details. Even we'll be covering more points which is not being added here. As you can see, this is almost covering everything you need to know about Tableau, starting from the very basics, which is how to install Tableau, how to build your first a chart, what is the most used charts in Tableau. Also, this will be covering more than what's being added here. Then we'll be like explaining what is the difference between the aggregation, filter, and all these kind of things. Then after you build your own charts and visualization, how to combine it into a dashboard. Then also we'll have a separate session about the maps, just to go deep dive and deep details into maps in case if you would like to do a very high level and even to go very deep dive into the visualization using maps. Then also we'll be explaining how to combine the data from multiple sources in case if you have hundreds of Excel or CSVs with different data sources, how to combine all of them, append all of them, join all of them, have a relation between all of them. This is will be covering, and this is one of the most important critical session whenever you work with a very large data and you would like to have a relation between all of them in order to go far and deep into your analysis. Also, some like functionality of the Tableau desktop data preparation in case you would like to clean some specific data. Then the remaining 4 points, it's about more advanced topics related to calculation and analytics, which is, for example, how to build quick calculation, percentage of total, percentile, moving average, and also calculated fields, how to do if a function and an or and special logic and so on, as you can see here. Same for the remaining. Then also I will highlighting within that something called analytics pane, which is very important in case you would like to have kind of forecasting, constant line, average, and so on. So now let's jump to the first part about Tableau platforms in order to give you a quick high level about what Tableau have in their platforms. Then we'll go through the installation. Then directly we'll go to the Tableau to start building our visualization, understanding how to work with Tableau. So again, as I mentioned in the very beginning, you can skip this part if you're already aware about it, but just to give you a quick level about what kind of things we have in Tableau, what kind of platforms we have in Tableau or products. So as you can see in the right side here, we have Tableau Cloud, Server, Desktop, and also there is something called Tableau Preparation, which is not written here. This is the main tools or platforms we have within Tableau, and our main working will be using the Tableau Desktop, Maybe we'll have another session for Tableau preparation. But just to quickly explain, Tableau desktop, whenever you have a data, for example, coming from CSVs files, Excel cloud source, or any other data sources, and as you will see that we have many data sources. So this data will be connected to Tableau desktop, and after connected to Tableau desktop, you will start building our visualization, as you can see, for example, here. So what is now, this is Tableau desktop, which we'll be discovering today in as much as details as we can. But for example, what it means by Tableau server or online Tableau or whatever. So in case if you have multiple users doing the dashboards and visualization, but you still have some stakeholders, and these stakeholders or users would like to use directly your Tableau or visualize or check the data without like editing this data, for example, just to explore this kind of data. So we can, in this case, use Tableau Online or Tableau Server. There is like kind of differences between both of them, but let's keep it for now. So what we'll do, you will upload all your data, whatever you had built within the Tableau desktop to the Tableau server or online Tableau. And once you build this one, your other users which have access to the server or to the online Tableau, they can have now visualize all these data and even play around with it, but it will not be edited like within like each one can just do the edit by himself, but it will not be reflected in the main source one, which is being uploaded from the beginning. So it's just facilitate, for example, instead of after you finalize a Tableau desktop, instead of sending to one by one this data, as you know, if you are sending one to one, this is like kind of wasting time. Plus, sometimes maybe they will someone will change the data send it to another. So at the end, the accuracy of the data will not be 100% accurate if it's moved from one user to another. So the best way to upload it to one server on or online server, and each one can visualize directly this kind of data. About the Tableau preparation, which is not being mentioned here, Tableau preparation actually, as you know, that not in the real network or real scenarios, you will never, not never, but usually don't have a very clean data. So in case you have a very mm, um, like unclean data, so in this case you need that something called Tableau preparation to start doing a data cleaning and like building some logics and just to try to combine on whatever data we have to get a very clean data to be used for the Tableau desktop later on. However, the Tableau desktop supporting also partially a kind of part of the Tableau preparation can do some cleaning, and I will also go through this part during the training. So now let me go through quickly, maybe in 2 minutes or 3 minutes, of how to install the Tableau tool in case if you'd like to start doing some practical training along with my sessions. So let's move forward to see what you have now. So as discussed, mainly we'll be using the Tableau desktop. So first of all, Tableau is not a free source. It's actually you must pay for it. But there is something called Tableau Public, which you can build your visualization or do your training. This is for free. You can even download it in your laptop and start doing all whatever you need to learn about Tableau. And from the Tableau desktop itself, which is the paid one, this is as you can see in the right figure here. Once you download it, you can start getting for 14 days without any restriction to also do some training out of it and so on. And the differences between both public and the normal desktop, there is few things not available in the public one, but whatever else is almost there. But the main idea that whatever you do in the public one, will be available for everyone in the web. Okay, this is the main difference. So you need to make sure that if you are doing some training, that you are not using something private or something cannot be uploaded to the web. So if you're doing training, make sure to use data which can be viewed by any users in the web. Okay. One additional point to highlight in these links, which I will add it in the video description as well. There is, if you are a student or doing a teaching, you can get a free version of Tableau Desktop. This is Tableau provide this one for the students and teaching. And these two links highlight to you how you can download your either the desktop or the Tableau public. So now let's go through the link of Tableau public. which is this thing, to see how we can download it, and same for the desktop. I believe you will be using the public all over the training, but you can also download the desktop one. But remember that it will be only available for 14 days. Afterwards, you will need to pay for it. So now let's go to the download link to see what you have. So initially, as you can see here, I just clicked the link which is called Tableau public download. So here you can just download a version in your desktop, or even you can explore it through the web through signing in after you sign up from the top right, as you can see in the top right arrow here in this area. This is also you can sign in once you have your access being there. So what you need to do, as you can see in the bottom figure for the first name, second, last name, and so on. So this, like, you just need to give your information. For example, I will write as uh, Muhammad, for example, then Adawi. I give my email XYZ, for example. Then you give your rule. Then you write your rule, and this is all things like it's mandatory, but it's fine. You can give whatever you prefer. For example, here you can just make personal user. Then I would like to receive marketing. This is depending on you. Just once you click here, you will directly have the application being downloaded. Then you can install it in your desktop. That's it. No more than this. It's a very easy one. So you just follow these steps. Then you will directly get your your Tableau public being downloaded. You can do the same process or steps for the desktop, which is a paid one, through accessing to products and desktop download, as you can see in this link. If I click this link here, it will take me to this Tableau product. You can get it actually from domain map, which is www.tableau.com. Then you go to through products, then you can click on Tableau desktop. Then you just need to start a free trial from here. Then give you again your information and directly download. And once you download it, you can just install it and start working with it. But you will need to activate the license only for 14 days trial. Afterwards, you need to pay for it. One more thing, that if I would like to access to my current, for example, this is sign in here. So then if I click sign in, as I did in the top right side here, as you can see in this arrow here. So I will just click here in this one, sign in. Then I will go to, for example, sign in. You can see tableau.com and sign into Tableau public, which I already created the account previously. Then I will give my username and password here. So let me give it and access. Then I will show you. So I already accessed. As you can see my picture now in the top right here, right? So it's already done here. So now, for example, if I clicked in my profile picture in the top right, I clicked here, then it will, as you can see, it's giving me my profile. I will click my profile. Then if you uploaded any things, it will come directly here, but I didn't do that. So I can, for example, create a visualization from the right here in case if you would like to start building your visualization in the web. But we're doing this as I highlighted to you, in the desktop application, because the Tableau public also can be downloaded to a desktop. So now let's go to the practical session to start seeing how we can use Tableau. Thank you. So as you can see from the desktop, my desktop now, I'm opening both Tableau paid one, which is Tableau desktop, and Tableau public. If you look into the very top left here, as you can see in this area, this is saying Tableau license expired in 14 days, because I installed the one which is being expanded for 14 days. Afterwards, you need to kind of start pay a monthly payment and sort to keep the original all the information for the desktop. The second one, which is called, as you can see here, Tableau public. This one actually is for free, so you can use it, which is almost covering almost the full privilege. But as I mentioned, this is have no data privacy. Whatever you upload, it will go to the web, especially if you upload it to the web. So actually, there are no main differences between the functionality of both of them, except in few things, which we'll be explaining throughout the session. But if you look into, first of all, the main differences here, as you can see, that here we have in the connect left side here, as you can see. We have something called Tableau server. This is in case you would like to connect to Tableau server. In case you're working with a company, they have their own server and so on. This is not applicable or not available in Tableau public, which is logic. The rest actually of the information, as you can see here, almost covering exact same information in the how to connect to a specific file, because this is actually, as I will explain shortly, this is just explaining how to connect your data source. So this is just the left side here, just connecting what kind of different data service we have. We have, for example, to a server, to Tableau server, through for example, as mentioned here, through Excel text file, which is CSV, or Microsoft Access PDF files, and so on and so forth. So now let's start working. I will be working with Tableau desktop. Again, it's exactly the same functionality, except in very few things I will be explaining. So now let's start see how to connect to our data. But before I do this, I would like first to take you through the data I'm going to use to just understand first what kind of data I have. So you will easily understand what kind of visualization I'm trying to build. So let me open the original data source from the Excel file. Then we can upload it directly here and start building our visualization. So as you can see, this is the main data source I will be using. This is actually like related to the telecom background fields. For example, the the amount of traffic can be generated by one cell or site and so on. So for example, as you can see, first of all, the first one here have the date column, which is explaining the date. Then you have something called site, for example, for the people who is not familiar with the telecom background, if you have one site in the field, for example, one telecom site, so this site will have each site will have different sectors or cells, and each cell serving a specific area. It will have its own load, number of users, traffic, and so on. So here is the KPIs, which is representing all this information. So we have the site ID, then we have the region. This is, for example, this site is falling under which region. Then you have the cell ID for that part, then something called cell name, which is just a combination of site ID and nurse ID and the cell ID. Then you will have the number of users connected and active, the addition accessibility. This is more familiar with the telecom or RAN engineers. These like kind of load, how much load you have within the site. This is how much traffic being generated. What is the throughput or speed you have within the site for uplink and downlink, non-standalone and standalone traffic utilization. For example, how much traffic in gigabyte generated by non-standalone, how much traffic generated by standalone, and the same information would be repeated for the downlink and so on and so forth. Then we have at the very end here some additional columns for something I will be explaining later on in details, but this is just added to show you an example whenever you need you upload your data and you would like to hide some information you don't need it. As for example, from column AA till the end, I'll not be using this information on this session, so I might need to hide from my template. So this is the data source I'm going to use. Again, it's in the cell level and sector wise. So this is the granularity we have in date and cell level. This is the smallest granularity we have here. So now let's move and upload this data. I will explain how to upload it, then how to start working with this kind of data we have here. So now I'm back to my Tableau desktop. Okay, as you can see in the left side, first, this is how we'll see in Tableau, what you will see. Once you open the Tableau, this is what you will see. First of all, if you have any historical data, it will be coming in this area. If you have any historical data or templates previously created, it will be coming within this area. But since I don't have any data, so nothing will be coming here. And it will be coming with something similar to the bottom templates here. Okay, so what we need to do now, first of all, this is the band. For example, I would like to upload my data. So you need to know what is, already know what's your data format. For example, the file which I just explored now, this is using CSV. So the CSV will be using text file. So if I click this one, text file, you can see it will take me to this video. I'll click open the 5G, for example. Then within the 5G, for example, here you have some particular files here. For example, I would like to use the first one. So it will go for this one. I will take it. Then what it will do, once I upload it, you'll see now it's taking to me something in the bottom left here. If you look into it, called data source, my data source, as you can see here. So this is like kind of what will appear once you upload your data, okay? So let me show you first. This is actually because I used data before, so it's coming now. Let me remove it first. because this one we need to upload. So usually once we upload your data, it will be coming like this format. First of all, as you can see here, it's giving you the connection. This is the current connection, and this is your data source name, which is called 5G data Tableau. Okay. So far, I didn't drag and drop any information, but you will see something very important in the left side here, that whatever under the folder which I clicked, for example, I only click this file. Whatever under the folder you will be adding there within this folder will be coming in the left side here. So if I added additional Tableau underscore 3, Tableau underscore 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 8, it will be coming in the left. But this not yet being used. It's just telling you that this is the information you have within this particular connection or data source. Within this particular folder, these all the files you have within this particular folders. So now, in case if I would like to connect to my data, what I need to do, if you read into this part here, it's just telling you drag tables here to create a data model. I will be speaking about the data model and different data sources connecting with relations on, but this will be in the advanced part. So initially what I would like to do, I just need to drag and drop the file I would like to use. For example, here I would like to use 5G data Tableau. So I'll just drag it and drop it here to see what we have. So once you drag it and drop it, you'll see it's coming at 5G data Tableau.csv under this particular data source. See this one, this is your current data source. So you can change, you can even add additional one from another folder, or you can just use, or we'll be just using this one. Adding additional things we'll discuss later on. Also, you can rename it from here. For example, I will just call it 5G. Okay, I will just call it 5G for now. Then also you can rename this one. You can also call it 5G, for example, file. Then here under this part, this is your data now. As you can see in the bottom down, it's the explored all the data which is already opening. But just before going through all this information, if you click here in this one, you'll find that it have kind of, you can do some something to convert to union. Then in case, for example, later on, if I would like to merge this Tableau 2 to the same file here, which is 5G, I can merge it through a union. I will discuss this one in details. And also you can do some kind of a quick formatting. For example, sometimes the Tableau will not, for example, read the headers. For example, as you can see in the bottom down here, these kind of headers, which is automatically read by or decoded by Tableau. Sometimes it will not be like this. So you will need, at this case, to start converting or generate fields name automatically. This is in case if it's not being used or decoded correctly, you need to do it from here. This is again, I'll give examples later on, but for now the data is clean, so we can now start using our data. So now, as you can see, first of all, this is, you'll see two figures actually. The one here just summarizing all the columns we have and what kind of that data type you have within these kind of columns. As I just explained previously, for example, here it's telling you, let's try to extract this one here. It's very data friendly in Tableau. You can just easily maximize and minimize window size. For example, here field name, this is all your field name, and this is a physical table which is I just uploaded, which is the one here in this area. So this is just telling you what kind of field name we have, and for each one it's just telling you what is the remote field name. Okay, and in the left side here, it's just telling you that what is the type here. For example, as you can see here, this is date, so it will give you icon as a date, and you can change it. For example, here it's the type, it's automatically decoded by Tableau that this is a date, and this is just like kind of a number or whole, but it will have, you can see it just have a blue icon here. This means it's dimension. I'll explain this one in more details later on. And you have something called NR cell ID. This was like kind of just the numbers, as you can see here in the left side, 0, 1, and 2, and 3. It's categorized also as some green field here, as you can see in this part. But actually, this green field means a measure. I'll be explaining this once I go to the main Tableau navigation later on after a few minutes from now. So this is the main idea here. It will just tell you what kind of data type here. For example, this one categorized as number, whole. This one categorized as string, as you can see here, and so on. If you explore one by one, you will know. So you can do change from here. In case if you'd like to change anything, you can just change it by here manually. You can do that. That's very easy. Also, you can rename whatever you need as well. You can just write it, for example, 5G active like this. then you can just, in case if I'd like to get back data, see it will be directly changed in the original table as well. So as you can see, 5G act here. Once I change it, become 5G act. If you click in the top left side here, this will just undo whatever you have just done. So let me do this now. You'll find now the name is again directly coming back to 5G active user. So here we'll need to later on to explain in the advanced session. There is a lot of details about how to relate the tables, how to add a base table. This is like advanced topics we'll be adding. But now let's start using our data for what we have here. So first of all, you have the data source. In case if you would like to, if you added something new or you modified in your data source later on in the original data source, you just click in the top left figure here as a refresh. It will just refresh your data for whatever modification you have. For example, assume that you replace your folder with another one. Then it will give you the new information once you click refresh here. So now we need to move now into the original things through the or the Tableau navigation to start building our visualization. How we need to do this? Through clicking in the top left sheet one, as you can see here, which is as highlighted here. So now, before building any visualization, it's very, very important for you to understand the basics of the navigation or the fields you have within Tableau. For example, you have many things on the left, you have in the top, you have many things in the right here, like show me, and we have something called columns, rows, and all these information. So let me first, it's very, very important to understand it to make it easy for you whenever you are trying to build any new visualization. So the left side here, this left side, you can see this left side, I'm highlighting here. This one actually is called the data pane, okay? This displays all fields from the data source. For example, you will see that here is your data source and the top side here, you can see it's called 5G. So this is all it's just display all the information within this data source here as I highlighted. So for example, here it's, as you can see, these fields are are splitted by a horizontal line. As you can see, it's just split the fields by horizontal line. This horizontal line, you can see this one here, this in this arrow here, this one especially. If I just add a rectangular here, you'll see as well. So this is kind of like your data is being split by horizontal line. So you have a data above the horizontal line and data below the horizontal line. The data which is actually above the horizontal line, this is called dimensions, which is, you can see usually it's coming as a blue color. This is called dimension, and these are fields that contain qualitative and descriptive values. For example, cell name, this is something descriptive values and qualitative as well. So, for example, it can contain names, dates, regions, sometimes geographical fields as well. Okay, so this is whatever you have above the horizontal line. Again, it's called dimension. It's very, very important to remember that, because it's called dimension, because this is kind of it will be used all the time. And the things which is bottom the horizontal line here, it's called which is a green field here, all the green one. This is called actually are called measures. Measures are fields that contain numeric and quantitative values that can be aggregated. For example, it can use functions such as sum, average, so all these kind of things. And this is the things we are going to do as a values to check a specific, for example, sales, volume, speed, whatever you need to do, okay? So this is the main classification. Sometimes you will find that your data fields are grouped by different data source table. You might have different data source, for example, table 1, table 3, table 5. Each one of these will have the same structure, which is splitted by horizontal line. Above one is called dimension, the below one is called the measure. Okay, so now uh, now all the fields here, once you drag it and drop it into this view, it will start kind of you drag and drop this data pane to the shelves and cars, which shelves and cars actually these particular areas called shelves and cars. These two areas is called shelves and cars. Once you drag and drop whatever you have in the data pane here to these shelves and cars, it will start drawing your visualization directly. Once you do this, I'll explain this one also shortly as well. So these shells and cards, for example, this one is called marks. Here, whenever you need to do any modification, for example, you would like to change a color, size of the visualization, adding a label, all this information. I will go in details later on as well. And the most important is the largest view, which is the middle here. This one, this large view. This is actually the one which is large view of the workspace is a view. The view is where the data visualization will be displayed or displays here. So, and one important point, as you can see down here, you can build one visualization per sheet. Okay, you can have multiple charts within this one visualization, but one sheet can build one visualization. And once we have, for example, multiple sheets, for example, if I click down here and the bottom here, you see something called this one. And the bottom down here, you see it's called sheets. Let me add an arrow here. This is in case you would like to add a new sheet. For example, if I click here, it will be sheet 2, sheet 3. Then once you have a visualization, different visualization by each sheet, you can later on map or combine all of them to create something called new dashboard as written in the bottom left here. So this is the one used for creating a new dashboard through combining all the sheets together. Uh, so far, it's very theoretical information, but it's very important to understand. Now we'll start building our first visualization to see you like how can you build and change that of information we have here. So now let's start with all the visualization we are planning for today. So I have added here, as you can see, the content of today's session one, just to understand what we are going to cover today as well. So initially we covered the navigation part of the Tableau, and the last part of the navigation, which we didn't explore yet in details. In the top, for example, here you find something called the toolbar, which is used, for example, this area, which is used actually to access commands, analysis, and also navigation tools. This will be explored in details whenever we move with the charts visualization creation, just to see what kind of each these points do. It will be better to explain with practical examples. So now let's start to create our first chart, which is, for example, related to bar charts, line, and pie charts, and so on. So now let's move to next about creating a chart for each of these. So now let's create our first visualization, which is actually related to the bar chart. Okay, there is many ways to do the creation. So you can do it directly if you understand what is the difference between columns, rows, and use all these marks and fills, all these kind of information. But assume that you're still not very aware or familiar with these kind of terms, which is called columns and rows. So what you can do, if you go to the very top right here in the show me information here, you can just click it and let's click and see. It will give you a lot of like visualization here. For example, you have the column one, which is we are trying to build here. You have the stacked, you have the horizontal bar, you have the side by side bar, and these three. So for example, let's try to create and see. I will create it through the show me. So what you need to do, for example, let's click on the side by side bar, this one. So if I click, you will find down here it's telling you what kind of information you need to plot. For example, it's telling you first of all you need a measure, okay? And if you look into the measure very carefully here, like for example, I will give an arrow here into this measure. It's the same as the one which is in the rows and the top here, right? It's exactly the same icon, right? Which is means that you need to drag and drop the measure. For example, I would like to check the traffic. So our the active users are here, for example, this one. So I'll drag it and drop it on top in the rows here. For example, this one measure. Then it's telling you a dimension. For example, this is the x-axis, what we need to see as, for example, to split it by what? You are comparing a column. For example, you will need take from the, and it's telling clearly here, it's telling you that it's called dimension, right? Remember, dimension is the blue one and the rest, the green one is called the measure. So you need just to drag and drop the dimension within the columns, which is again, if you look into this dimension one, it's just showing that this is kind of columns because it's giving you the same icon of columns. Then you need to drag and drop also the same, the one used it in the dimension, for example, to drag it and drop it in into the color here and the marks here in order to give a different colors if you would like to have this. So what we can do now, For example, first of all, I'm clicking here, so I will need, for example, from the dimension, let's say that I need this region. I need just to split it by region. Then I will click into the 5G active users. Then let's try to click in this. Okay. For example, yeah, I will drag and drop, for example, the measure, which is one, into, again, as I mentioned, into here. Okay. This one, the measure, I drag and drop it here. Then the dimension, which is and again here, I'll drag it and drop it here. Okay. So I'll drag and drop in the measure, which is called, for example, region here. So it will splitting here column bars, as you can see, by central and north, for example. This is the region. And in case you would like to have it by color, you can either take it again from the region to the color here, or you can just, for example, click Control here in this one, click the Control button, then drag it and drop it here also in the color. So it's the same. So now it's giving you like kind of what is the difference between all of them. As I mentioned before, in the right side, in the left side here, this measures all the measures. This is kind of can use for a different aggregation. So if you click into the measure here in the rows bar, if you click into the measure, you'll find that you have a lot of information here, but what we need for the meantime is the measure here. You would like to sum all the information for the dates, or average all of them, or take the median, or count on. For example, let's try to take the average one. So here, for example, the average, we have 3.1, we have 3.7. So I will keep it as sum for the meantime. Okay. Then one thing here we need to do, for example, assume now you would like to get it kind of a full screen, or to get like kind of a bigger one, a larger one. So for example, if I go to the left side here for the size one, if I try to increase the size, it can increase the size. For example, I will take it to the right. It will increase the size of the bar itself. See, the bar itself is increasing, but still the view is limited to a very small area here, right? So let me take this one bar charts and the title here. I just so for example, if I would like to get it as a full screen here, so what I can do, if you look into the top here in the toolbar, there is something called what here in the standard here one, this one. Okay, remember this. This is also important for you to know. This one. Okay, so if I click it here, you'll find that entire view. If I make it entire view, it will be coming like this. And again, if you would like to reduce the size with this kind of information, you can just again click here in the marks one, which is controlling the formatting. So I'll click in the size, for example, and reduce it here. So this is how we build our first chart. Now assume you would like to have this kind of information. You know that this is have 200,005 users, right? And this one have 19,000 users, right? So for example, you would like to get the information in the label. So you need to take the same measure here, which is in the measure here, control, and drag and drop it in the labels here. So to be directly, as you can see within the top here. The formatting can be done later on, okay? And in case you would like to change the color, for example, you have the legend in the top right here, as you can see, in the top right here. In case you would like to change the color of that, you can just click in the color here, again, this area. So you click in the color, then you make edit a color. Then you have, for example, you can change central to be orange, and this one, for example, to be, let's make this one as this color and this one as this color, for example, here. Okay. So you just apply. Now it's changing the color, as you can see here. This is, and in case you would like to sort it, for example, you need to see here this area. When I click, there is a sort button here. You can see here in this area exactly. So you can just, for example, click here as sort. So it will sort from the largest to the smallest. Also, the sort can be done from the top side here. This one, as you can see in my area. So this is a kind of a part of formatting. Okay. So for example, if I click like this, it will swap and so on. Also now, let's assume that you would like to change from this one to this kind of horizontal bar. If you click directly, it will change like this. Okay, but assume that instead of clicking, for example, here, it will change the format. So you just need to swap now to get this x-axis to be instead of the y-axis, to swap it, right? To get kind of this visualization. So if I click in this horizontal bar, you see it's did what we are looking for, but it changed the color and format, and you lost formatting and so on. So you just need to undo this change through clicking this one, or just control Z. Okay, so I will do like this to undo. Now that I would like to get this one, you can now click into this swap button in the top here. You can see this one. You can just click in here. So if I click here, what will happen? You'll see it's coming now as still entire view with different color, and you still can sort it as whatever you want to do. So this was first two charts of the bar, one which is horizontal and the stack and the side by side bar. Now assume you would like to make it as a stacked. Okay. So if you would like to make it as a stacked, I need to swap it back now. Let's swap it back here from this one. Swap rows and columns. Control W can be also shortcut. So if you want to get, if you would like to get it as stacked, now you need to do the following. Instead of adding as highlighted in the top here in the columns, which is representing these areas on the bottom x-axis, okay, into the region, into the columns, now you just need to drag and drop it into the colors only. So you see, now it's giving you as a stacked chart. And also you can just change it from here, for example. This is already bar chart, and you can see now it's the same format. It's taking into the region the value here, but again, when I did this one, it's coming back to the normal. So I will need again to make the standard, to change it again, to make it set, entire view, and so on. So just simply, let's go back to Control Z. I'll go back to whatever I used to have before. So simply, instead of adding the regions to the columns, you need to drag and drop the regions only onto the colors. You completely remove the column to get it as a stacked here. Okay, I will be speaking later on how to do it as a percentage wise. This is will be in the advanced topic. So this was the first part about how to build the first visualization, which was the bar chart. So again, if you forget of where to add in the columns, rows, or column, and so on, the simple way to do it initially to click into the chart, get the information from here, and once you have this information, you can drag it and drop it into the required information. And once you have this view, you can again change it from here to entire view. And as I just discussed, if you would like to get the labels, you can drag and drop the same field into the labels, so you get the labels as I highlighted before. So this was the first part about the bar charts. Now let's move to the line charts and also how to work with dates. This is one of the most important as well. So let's move. So now again, each one of these bar charts will be considered as one visualization, can be combined later on um, into a dashboard. And one also additional part. For example, you are doing this one now here. You can have multiple charts within multiple columns. For example, if I drag and drop this, let's assume the traffic one here. I drag and drop it here into the same information. Let's drag and drop it here. Okay, you will see now it's coming as a traffic as well, a traffic downlink and uplink for different regions. But see, there is something important to use here. If you click into this one, you'll find that it's still using the same labels of the active user. So in this case, if you click each one of these, you will need to change its formatting. You have now the metrics coming here on the right. Okay, one for active user and one for downlink traffic. So you'll find that, for example, here the distribution is almost the same numbers, which is not logic, right? But however, if you look into the x-axis, this is up reaching out 3,500K while there's 200K. So the main idea that here the labels is using a wrong metric, which is active user. So we need to remove it out. Then you just track your traffic into, for example, the labels. So now it's giving you the correct figure. And this is the same. For example, if you would like to get this, let's say, for additional metric, so we can again drag it and drop it into the rows. So it will again additional one here. But again, this is using seems to be, if you click into this one now, confirm is what kind of labels it's using now. It's not using labels. So drag and drop it here to get the correct information. Now, see, now it's getting a different information, which is the correct one. This one, for example, 11,000. This one is using 19,000, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now the additional part here, for example, assume you would like get this by for example by let's say, let's try for example to get it by dates in the x-axis or whatever else. For example, I will take from the dimension in the top right here. I will take this kind of cell ID, which is this one highlighted here. I will take it and drag and drop it. For example, here I will drag it and drop it into the top columns here. So see, Now it's coming like this: 0, 1, 2, 3. This is actually was the information under in our cell ID. It's having 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now we are getting the information of all of these into x-axis, and also you can add whatever else you would like to do. For example, if I added the site itself, it will give you many sites here, all the sites being added together. So you can just, if you would like to sort it, you can sort it from, as I mentioned, from here or from here. But this is per site, so it will be kind of confusing you in the beginning. So I advise not to do this for the meantime, but you can again sort it. You can do the sort, by the way, for each one of these separately through clicking into the metric you would like to make the sort. So for example, I click into this one, I'll make a sort like this one. Okay. So now it's sorting from larger to smaller, as you can see, based on this one. Or you click on the last one, again, you click a sort like this. See, it's sorting based on the last one, and so on and so forth. So this was the bar chart. Now let's move to the line chart. So again, this is will be for the line charts. So if you click into again the top right here, the show me, right? So it will show you again the line information. For example, if you click into this one, it's called line continuous. It's telling you need dates here, right? As you can see, you need to add date here into the column one, right? And so if I take like this, I will follow the instructions. I will take dates and add it here in the columns, right? Then it's telling you in the measure, you need to just take whatever measure you want. For example, let's take these first 4 measures. I'll take it all and add it in the rows. Okay, so yeah, you can see now it's coming as measure. And now you can add the dimension in case you would like to have a different colors. You can add it into the color. So now I don't want to have a different color. So first of all, let's set this one as I discussed before into entire view. Okay, you look into the dates first. When I added the date, actually in Tableau, it's just when you're working with date fields, the field is automatically modified to reflect the date level and the highest granularity. For example, here in my data, I used to have a daily, right? So if you click here in the dates on the top right here, you click into the date itself. For example, I'll click it here. Then once I click here, you will find that it's showing different things here within the date, showing as year, quarter, month, day. So the Tableau itself can make a classification into your dates. For example, you have it in your data, you have it as a daily, but you can get it as a quarter or monthly or day, or for example, you get it as exact date. But there is also something very important. There is something called discrete and continuous in the date granularity. Okay, I will explain this one in more details, but simply the most used one in the dates is the continuous because it keep your data in continuous, like this usually used for date continuous because you keep your data in a chronological order. I will explain this one in more details in next session as well, but let's now keep it for continuous as of now. Okay, so now it's still like 24 25, right? So I click again on the date, and just important to note as well, usually the continuous will be coming as green, discrete will be coming as blue, and again continues to have the chronological order of the dates, while discrete is kind of a labels or the kind of a texting. Okay, so in case if you would like to compare a specific like discrete values, you can use the discrete one, but for the menu now we're reading the date. So if I click into quarter, it will split it into quarter, for example 1, 2, 3, and 4. If again click it here and I split it into day, it will just give you all the days 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. But this is not what we need. So what we need is the exact one, right? Whatever we used to have in our data. So now you go down here, as you can see, it's called exact date. So I click on this one. Now see, it's giving you from December 2024, December 23, 2024 till January 2025. But maybe we'll need to change this date formatting. So if you would like, for example, to change date formatting, again, I'd like to explain this one for now. You can do it in 2 ways, either for this only chart or this particular sheet. You can just go to the date in the top here and just simply click on format. It will open the pane on the left here, as you can see, format date, and you'll find this dates here, scale. So for example, if I click on this one, I can just change it to, for example, this particular format or whatever you need from here. Okay, so I click here. So once I change it, you'll find that in the bottom down here, it changed now to this particular format, which taking month, day, then the year. And there is also another way in case you would like to change completely for data source, not only for this particular pane. You can just go to the very top right here, okay, into date, okay, here. So what you need to do in the date, click in the date, then click into your data source, which is called 5G. Then within the 5G, you need to make edit data source filters, but this is not what we need. We need to audit actually the, you need to edit actually, as you see here, the date properties, as you can see. This is if you'd like to change completely for the data source. For example, here I click that date properties. As you can see here, it's showing that what you need from the week start from what, January, also the year. But the most important, what we are looking for now is the date format itself. So for example, I will tell him I need it as like this format, as an example. This only scheme for now. So it will keep the date format. It will keep for your original format for the date as what we just mentioned now. But this is in case if you modify it within the sheet itself from whatever we discussed before from here, from the format here. For example, if I click here, this will override the overall sheet. But when you use a new one, a new subsheet, it will start using the previous format. For example, let's open now a new subsheet and see this. I will add the date here, right? Then I will take it as exact, okay? Then also I'll make it as continuous. It's already continuous. Now let's, for example, add whatever user here as a line. See, this date format is coming as December 2024, while this one is coming as like this format, because again, this format override the overall worksheet format, okay? So this is how we change the format. So this is initially how we can create a line. So for example, here you have four sheets for KPIs. You can keep adding, by the way. You can keep appending more and more and more, whatever you want. For example, if I take it here, it will keep adding additional Excel chart. As you can see now, each one of these have a different name. And you can change the granularity or the aggregation for each charts. For example, let's say you would change this one instead of sum, you would like to make it average. So you click here, you go for this sum, you make it average. And one thing, for example, let's assume that I would like to do this automatic. So I will remove all the charts. Let's assume that I would like to make the initial aggregation as average directly. So instead of whenever you take the metric and add it here, the initial aggregation is sum. Let's assume you would like the initial aggregation to be average. So you just click, for example, in these metrics, all of them, Control Shift, and right click here. Then you can make default properties from here. Then you make the aggregation, so average. For example, now if I drag and drop all these four, instead of summing them, let's remove this one now. Before it was summing them, now I'm expecting it will just directly take the average, see, AVG, which means it's averaging already all these kind of charts. Now, I would like to also explain one part. Assume now you'd like to have some of these charts as a secondary axis within, for example, the second one was the first one. So, right, so you can just have two secondary axes, one secondary axis, I mean. So what you can do is very simple. You can just click, for example, in the second one here, which you would like to make it a secondary axis. For example, here, you click right click. Okay, so I will click right click here. Then you will see you have here called dual axis, right? You have a dual axis in the bottom down here, right? As you can see, dual axis, right? So once you click dual axis, you'll find now this is coming as a dual axis here. And one important point, for example, see this is the scale here from 0 to 3, while this one from 0 to 10. If you'd like to align both the scales, you right click into this one, then you make synchronize axis here. So now it will synchronize both of them and make it from 0 to 10 for both of them. So if I make, for example, back here, I click here and I make, for example, synchronize axis. So now both of them are following the same one. So which means following the highest one, which is 0 to 10, which is normal, right? So now it's following 0 to 9. And again, if you'd like to do the same for this one as taking the secondary axis with this one, you just right click here. In the metric itself, on the top right here, for example, I would like to make this one as a secondary axis with this one. Okay, so I will do like this, and I'll click again, right click. then I make as dual axis here. Okay, so now it's coming as dual axis, and you'll see that in the measure name here in the top right here, you have now a measure name automatic created. If you click into this one, you'll find that the blue one is active user, the one is connected, and this is the colors for these two. And again, you can right click and synchronize the axis here. You can see that's about the line charts, and also how to kind of split it or make a dual axis. And again, one important thing, if you would like to get it, this is very flexible information also. If you would like, for example, as you know, I have a different region, so I need to see this information with different region. So if you look into the formatting here, this is called line discrete. For example, I can just drag. This is one of the very advantage of Tableau. For example, I can drag and drop the region. For example, I can drag and drop into columns. See what will happen. Now it's dragging the same information, but here for central and here for north, for example. So this is, for example, showing a reduction here, while this one is stable. This one also showing increase here. Yeah, as you can see here, while this one is unstable. Or you can also drag and drop it down here. It will again split it by, as you can see, the region coming here in the y-axis here, also again information. But this is depend. I take control. I shouldn't take control. I just drag and drop it directly here. So now see it's splitting. First one for central, second one for north or C and N. Okay, so you can play around with whatever format you would like to have in terms of line, and that's also applicable for all the others, as we explained before, for the bar and so on. Now let's move to the next chart. So in this one, I would like to discuss about the scattered charts, as I highlighted the tab file here. I call it name scattered charts. I would like to discuss how to build the scattered chart. So if I click here and show me again, you'll find that you have this kind of circles or side by side, whatever. Okay, so it's just mentioning you need measure and dimension. This is not what we are looking for. This is scatter plot is here, is seeing that you need a measure, the same measure for the scatter, for example, different measures, one in the rows and one in the columns, to start building your scatter chart. You need to measure one here in the column right, and another one here. For example, let's assume that you would like to visualize as a scatter diagram, scatter plot. Let's say in the x-axis, I would like to get the load of the network here in the x-axis, while in the y-axis, I would like to get the speed. Like whenever I have high load, what will happen to my speed, right? So simply what we need to do, you can, as highlighted here in the scatter plot, you can take one of the measures. Let's assume that one in the x-axis, I would like to take it as active users. Let's say for now the active users, I will take it here. I just drag and drop it into columns. Then I will take, for example, the speed, which is this one, downlink speed, called downlink through this one. Okay, I drag it and drop it as well in the second measure, which is in rows. Okay, now see, it's just giving you as one single point, and this is how it's giving a single point. It's just averaging in here. All the average users or within your data set is getting a value of 3.2, while all the throughput average is getting 160.3. But this is not what we need to do. Scattered, you can do it in two different methods. Even to aggregate it based on a specific granularity. I will explain this one shortly as well. But the usual one which you do without no aggregation. So to do without no aggregation, to get each and every single point of your data set, for example, for each particular active user number within the granularity I have and my data set, I need to get what is the equivalent row to have kind of a scatter diagram. So for example, how I can do this one? You can do it in two ways. Okay, the first one, to go above here into analysis and just remove this aggregated measures. So I can look like this. Once I did see, it's coming like this now as a scatter. I will make it more visible now, or I can just back here, this one, and I click, right click into these both metrics here. Okay, I right click here in both of them, and I make it like I say, make it as dimension. Okay, then I will make both of them as dimension. Then again, now it's giving me for each single point, it's giving me like kind of a one value. So I have one value for each point. So this is all my data sets being plotted. One null at the point in the bottom right here, this command, just telling you that you have one information, that one of your rows in the data set doesn't have any information. So you can just right click here and just remove hide indicator. Okay. So now I would like to make it more visible. So what I need to know, I need to play around. For example, I need to make it instead of circles, I need to make it as a point. So you have different methods here. You can either click into here into your formatting and marks. You can click into shapes. So I will just click like this one to shapes. I change it to this one, for example, circles. Okay. So now it's coming like this, as you can see. And again, the size I need to reduce a little bit. Okay, just to give more visualization. See, now it's coming off kind of more clear for me as well. As you can see, starting from 0, and the lowest the lowest the load, the higher the speed, right? You have higher speed here, and the highest the load, the highest the number of active users. I have more I have more more active user, low throughput or low speed, which is kind of more load of the network. You have lower speed, right? You can now do the same visualization, adding additional metrics in the x-axis. For example, now I do the correlation. I'm doing the correlation with active users with the speed right of the network. So now I'd like to do the visualization between, for example, the PRP utilization and the load on the network. Okay. See now, there is one thing. Every time you do this, you need to go and change this one into dimension to get it clear as whatever you need to do. So the easiest way for the meantime, if you would like to do it only like this, to click in the analysis and just all the time remove this kind of aggregation. Okay, you don't want aggregation. I'll explain when you need the aggregation shortly, but just keep it for now. If you would like to get each single point, better to remove the aggregation. So here it's the same. Whenever you have a low load PRP utilization resources low, you will have higher speed, and whenever you move with more speed, you will have higher lower speed, more load, lower speed, right? So for example, if one just quick thing out of yeah. So now let's make it entire view here again, as we was doing all the time. So just to make it more clear for us, okay? And just here, one of the things is if you filter in left click here and just filter, it will just highlight a particular area. This is in details later on we can discuss about as well. So this is, you can see each of these axes now is presenting like this is active users, number of users, and this is the downlink PRP utilization, and this is the like kind of throughput. You can also do the same, for example, through the dragging and dropping, for example, throughput for uplink here in the rows as well. So it will give you more actually, you can see now. Yeah, 1 minute, just loading. Again, you need to drag to make this one as dimension here. Okay. Remember that every time you do this, you need to do dimension. So now you have a correlation, for example, between active users and uplink speed, active user and downlink speed, PRP region downlink and uplink speed, and so on. And that's very useful as well, actually. And in case if you like, for example, to get it with different region here, you can just drag and drop, click on all, because you have two different metrics here, and drag and drop region, for example, in color. It will give you different color within the chart itself to specify, for example, what kind of areas. Let's taking loading now. So for example, now after I drag and drop the color, region is coming here, and you can do this with whatever else. For example, instead of region, I need to replace it with a numerical value. Let's assume that I would like to visualize it. I remove the region from here. I would like, for example, to have a heat map or with the traffic point of view. For example, I will drag and drop a traffic into color. Let's see what will happen. Since it's number, it will give you kind of a range of legend. Very good. See in the top here, you have in the top right here, right? Here you have your legend being added, but since it's not its number, it's giving you like kind of as a range of values, right? Which is a minimum and maximum value. You can play around with even the color here. For example, if you right click here in this one, you would like to give it a specific heat map or color. Right click, you make edit color. For example, you make it this one, you can make in platey, you can just change it to, for example, a particular ranges. For example, red and green divergent. For example, the highest, the more the traffic, you can just play around with this one with the step color even though. And this is kind of advanced subjects we can discuss about it later on. And also we can give a specific start values. Let's assume from, for example, I played around, I make the start, center, and the end. I make all of them customized. So 100 to 170, 500, you can play around with this. You can even reverse the color ranges. Instead of starting from red, you can start from green and so on. This is based on what you are looking for. So now, for example, the highest one, This means that you have more traffic, as you can see here as well. So this is actually about the scattered charts. Now I would like to explain to you a very important part about the scatter chart as well. This one was explaining whenever you want to have without aggregation, which means that every dimension you are changing into every field or metric you are changing into dimension, right? Into measure, into dimension. Dimension means that it will be coming as a specific value only without any aggregation, right? So now I would like to use the aggregation. In case if I use the aggregation, we know that it will come at the very end at one value, right? But yes and no. So let's see how we can do with aggregation and what is the use cases we can use it for the aggregation to be more accurate for us or to give a more representative information or charts. So here I would like to do similar example, do again scatter chart. So I would like again, if you forgot how to do it, click and show me, go to the scatter down here, click on it to explain to you that you need to add two different measures in the columns and rows as we discussed before, right? So what you need to do now, I will need, for example, again to visualize the active users and versus, for example, the speed, right? Which is called the throughput, right? This one, for example. Now, as I explained before, because it's aggregated, giving you one value, which is the all average of the speed and the all average of the throughput, correct? So in this case, if you like to keep using the aggregation, this means you need to use a specific granularity to do the aggregation. For example, I discussed before in my data set, if I click here, view data in the top right here, just to quickly recap what you have in our data, click here in this area, okay, this area. If I click here, the minimum granularity of my data, I used to have a different granularity by dates and by region, by site ID, by active user. Sorry, this is the granularity you have: cell name, date, region, and site ID. This is the granularity which I have in my data. So, for example, in here, if I used in the color in the granularity in the aggregation as a region, I am specifying only to get 2 points, right? Because I have N and C only. If I use a granularity of site ID, I am specific to get all the site IDs, except that you have 1,000 sites here. This means you will get a 1,000 point. Each point will have aggregation average value of the active user and average throughput as well. And for example, cells, assume that you have 4,000 points. This means I will get 4,000 points within the chart. Each one of these points for the cell will have aggregation for all the dates, average of the active users, average of the throughput, and so on. If I didn't use an aggregation, it will get the complete all points, which is mentioned here, 10,000 points, right? So now let's take it one by one. For example, if I drag and drop how to do this kind of aggregation to a specific field or a specific dimension. So I will take also one of the points highlighted for the beginning. Dimension can be used for the granularity or the aggregation granularity. So for example, I will take the region and drag and drop it, remember, into the detail here. So now it's giving you the two different points. If I drag and drop again region into color, okay, it will give you C, as you can see here, and also change the shape again as I highlighted before into, for example, this one. And let's, for now, increase the size just to be more visual. So I have 2 points, right? Which is a C and a here. So again, it's aggregated all the average active user for this one, all of them, and all average throughput, right? And the same for that one. Now assume that I would like to use instead of the region, I would like to use site. Okay, so I will remove out the region here. Then I will take the site and drag and drop it again into the details. See now, let's reduce the size again. So now the granularity is being done using the site. So each single point here is representing one site. You can see here it's rating as site ID 1751, active users 11, which is the all overall average, and the throughput is 68.2. Okay, so this is one point how we can do the granularity when using without doing, like, for example, as I highlighted before in the analysis. If I remove this aggregated measure, see, if I removed it, now it's giving you this site that will be useless now because I removed from the analysis. I removed the aggregated measure. So now it will just take all the data points in the data set. So I keep the aggregated values for now. Okay, I would like to add something that will be used in the future, but I would like to add it now just to have a kind of complete figure. First of all, to explain this throughput, okay, if I just drag and click here in the data set again, this throughput is equal to, in my data set, if we go to the right, either downlink or uplink, throughput is equal to this throughput. is equal to the volume, okay, data volume divided by the time, user time. For example, this column divided by this column. Let's show you. Yeah, by time. So this is how the speed is being calculated, how much traffic generated by a specific user in the network, and how much time it takes to generate this kind of traffic. So you divide the traffic by the time to get the user. So since I have now this one being calculated in my data here, this means it will take average for all the values. For example, if I'm taking the aggregated value in my here, this means it's taking average for all the dates for this particular site, all the dates and all for the cells, all average value. But this is not very accurate. In this case, you need to have kind of a calculated field, something called calculated field, in order to calculate the aggregated value. For example, you sum first all the traffic, then you sum it by all the time, then you divide it by both of them to get kind of accurate calculation. So let's show an example how to do this one, then we can compare it with whatever you have now to have more understanding. So first of all, this will be covered in details with many things later on, but I just want to explain now to have a complete understanding about this part. So if you click into the top icon here, this part, you will find many options as well. So there is something called create calculated field. Let's click this one. Then here you can just rename this one again as 5G downlink speed, for example, or throughput megabit per second. Okay. Then I will just click sum. I would like the sum, as I mentioned, the traffic. You can see 5G downlink traffic volume. Then I will divide it by sum again, that time. Okay. See here, 5G UE throughput time downlink microsecond, right? Then dividing these by each other, it will give you megabit per second because this is split and this is microsecond. So now what it will do, it will first go and sum all the traffic, then it will go and sum all the time, then it will give you, it will divide both of them to give you the aggregated value. So this will be give you a completely different when you compare to the original throughput which you have it here, which is this one. Because this one again, just in the datasets would take average of the speed. So now I click OK. See, once I created this speed, now you will find that it's coming with green again, but there is equal sign. Equal sign means this is something calculated, you added, calculated field you added here. So now I would like to make the same comparison. Instead of my average, which is this one, I would like to add the same metric here. And now this is, you cannot aggregate because it's already a calculated field. Now, if you look into the differences, let's swap these two. Okay. No, let's do it like this. Then I will make it as entire view. Okay. If you look into now this will explain actually what we need exactly on the rest. For example, if I look into this particular point, at this particular point, it's telling you this is for region N, site ID 1761. The average active user is 16.74, while the average speed throughput, which is the one already not a calculated one, 36.9, while the one I just calculated for you, it's called equal 17.5. And this is the main differences. Now I'm doing aggregation. The other one was just taking average of average. That's why the other one is kind of higher. Let's take another point here. This one also will say, like, for example, region C, site ID 1504, active user 13.04, throughput is 201, while the other one is 204, which is the aggregated one, which is kind of higher here because again it's summing the traffic, then summing the time, then divided by each others. So now, if I remove the aggregation, I'm expecting that these two will be equal to each other because there is no aggregation anymore. So I'm expecting that all of them will be equal. So let's try again, just to have a complete understanding and remove the aggregation from this one. So if I click now into, for example, this particular area, you'll find that usually they will be very close to each other because, exactly. See this one, N, region N, site ID 1761, active user 33.84, throughput is 6.2, and the speed is 6.2. See, this is how, because there is no any aggregation. So now the aggregation which I used using the calculated field is not really needed for the meantime. So I'll just control Z. Now this will be accurate whenever you work with data set to use the aggregation during the scattered diagram. So this was the main ideas. There is again two different methods of scatter diagram. with aggregation and without aggregation. And whenever you use it with aggregation, you need to add information into the details to decide what is the granularity you need for aggregation, the minimum granularity, and this is depend for sure uh, um, in your working data. I will be also uploading the working data and this particular Tableau worksheet into the YouTube in case if you would like to replicate the same information, so you will have to do the same whatever I just explained now. So now let's continue with the remaining of this session one. Actually, for the remaining, creating like the most important and advanced charts, I will be splitting this one into the next session. I already explained the overall concepts and I covered the most important one so far. There is many additional as well, which we could have covered in different session. But in order to give you one session, which is can make you quickly start and start directly building your complete dashboards, I will be continuing now with the filter part, how to add a filter and the quick filters, and also how to create a dashboard just from high level perspective. And I will be ending by how to update and refresh your data source in case you would like to append the new data and so on. So how you can do this, or even to refresh if you did any modification for the existing data. So now let's move to the filter part to explain what we can do about it. So now it's about the filter part. There is different things. Assume now you would like to do a filter for here, for example, you would like to do only filter for North region, okay? There is different ways. For example, if you click into the legend here, let's move it to the zone left here. If I click on the legend here, as you can see in the I highlighted here, click in the legend, I will click in this one. For example, it will tell me left click, keep only. For example, I click it, keep only. If I make keep only, you'll find that it's already hidden the remaining parts for the central region, right? And you'll see that in the top left here in the filter page pane, it's adding the region as a filter now. So if I click into here in the filter now and left click, make edit filter, you will find that it's selecting only N. So if I click back and I click C here, it will get back the C, right? So if I take this out, this now you understand that if you would like to make a filter, you need to drag and drop the dimension, for example, to the filter. And for example, do the filter from here. For example, I will see only C. Okay. So if I apply, you will see that now it's giving you only C region. And if you click here in this exclude, this means that whatever you select, it will be excluded. So if I click here, it will give you N instead. Let's do like this. I apply. So now it's just excluding C, just strike through as you can see here. So this is the first part here. For example, let's assume that I would like only to filter on N. Okay. So now I have only N here. Okay. So this is the first part. Now the same for the date. If you drag and drop it here, you'll find that date usually is giving you like as you can see, you can just select based on years or days, specific days, weekdays. You can select whatever you want to do as date format or in case of filtering. You have a different formatting here. For example, if I take range of dates, it will just give you like this one. If I can extend it, like here, I would like to start, for example, only from this date. So the data points accepted in map will be reducing now. See, data points is reducing. If I take it down more, data points will be reduced because it's giving you now just specific days, right? So I will take it back, let's say, from only 11. Same if you like, for example, to do for a specific site. And that's actually a very important one I would like to highlight because this have more advanced things even compared to other visualization tools. So if when I drag and drop site ID into the filter here, you'll find that you can select from a list. For example, you can select specific areas. So I'm expecting now to get few points in the map in the filter here. Yes, but this is actually seems to be selected from other region, which is central region, and I already filtering out. Let's make none first. Then I select, for example, these three. Apply. See, it's having nothing here. Why? Because this is probably from the other region. So let's keep all the filter to see whether I see exactly. So now go back to the edit, select more areas. So you'll expect now to get more data points in the map, right? Good. So now you have more data points. Now, what kind of options also you have in the editor? For example, if you edit filter here, you have select from list, you have something called custom value, you have something called use all. Use all, it will just use all, right? While custom value, this is actually a very advanced one and very, very good. Assume now that you want to have a specific site list. Let's assume you have 1,000 lists and you would like just to select 51 or 10 or 20 or 30. Instead of selecting one by one here and searching for one by one, selecting one by one, this will be kind of wasting of time, right? So the best way forward to do like this one, get you the data from any Excel sheet, for example, for the specific site list you would like to get or whatever filter you're doing, and just copy and paste it here. And let me go to the Excel and show an example because this is one of the most effective things we can do for the filters. For example, in my Excel here, I have the site list, which is around 770 as you can see in the down here, so which is too many. Assume now you just want to a specific list. I would like just to filter in these um, 36 site. Okay, so I'll just copy and I will go there and paste it over there. So once I'm back here, I just Control V. See, now it's giving me the 36 values, which I already copied from there. Then I just apply. Then it will just give you the specific subtext. And this is one of the most effective things. Regarding the filter, I will go through the advanced things later on, but just this is the most used one. You can take it from now. Later on, I will go through the wildcard, condition top, and so on. These kind of things. Now, the additional information I would like to tell you about the filter. This filter is only applied for this particular sheet, which is called filters. If you go to the sheet, I didn't cover this part. If you go to the scatter diagram, there is no filters here. You can see in the top right here, the top left, sorry, there is nothing, right? You don't have anything layer, right? Similar if you go to the other one, which is here, nothing, right? So assume that you would like to apply these filters to all subsheets. What you need to do, you just need to right click here. First of all, let's start with the date. The date we know is starting from which day? The date filter, starting from 11, right? So I would like to apply this in all. So what can I do? Just right click and apply to worksheets, then select all using this data source. This means any sheet using this data source will be using the same filters. So if I click here, now if I go to the line chart, I'm expecting now what? I'm expecting it will be starting from 11 of January 2025, right? So let's close this one and go to the line sheet. So exactly, now it's starting from, see, 11, as you can see, 11 January 2025. Similar for this one, if you go to the site ID, then you make apply all using this data works as well, right? So now you'll find the data now is much less because even one region only because I filtered out. So now if I remove the filter here, I make, for example, clear, and next select all, right? Already cleared, I select all, so now I'm expecting my data will coming back to central and north, and also sites will be applied. Even you go to back here, all the sites will be coming back. So this is about the filter part. Also, the filter is not only limited to the dimension which is here. You can also make a filter based, for example, on a measure, assuming that you would like to filter here based on a specific traffic volume. For example, let's take this one to the filter. So I will say, for example, all values here, okay? So I will just make like this. It will give you exactly the same like this one. For example, this metric is called downlink traffic volume gigabyte. So I would like just to filter on the data whenever you have greater than 300, for example. So I'll just apply. Now it's again just filtering. You'll find that even your traffic volume, if you have the traffic volume of any of the, if you have your traffic volume here, you'll see, for example, let's take the same metric on the top here just to confirm and add it beside the active users. You'll find that the traffic volume is just starting to see from 300 exactly because this is our filter, right? We make our filter, edit filter. Let's make it from 200. Now I'm expecting that it will be starting from 200 instead. So the filter is not only limited to the dimension, you can also use a filter from the measure as well, which is one of also of the other ways. Now let's discuss about how to create a dashboard. I'll just give you high level. There is many things about the dashboard, something called interactive dashboard, but I'll just give you a quick high level how to combine multiple sheets together, multiple sheets, subsheets together to give a dashboard. So now let's go. In the bottom right here, you'll find that these icons. This one, this is actually for the dashboard. You'll find that it's like kind of four rectangles plus And the last one called the story. I'll be discussing about this part later on. So this is in case you would like to add a dashboard. And this one for the extra sheets. So now we need just to add a dashboard. So I click here. Now see, it's just telling you here assembly in this view, right? This is your dashboard view. Okay. You can change the format to make it full screen, like for example, all of it, and instead from the size here, just simply first step to get a full view. Just change the site here, click here. Just make, instead of fixed here, make it automatic. You'll find it's giving you the complete sheet as you can see now, or view. Okay. So as you can see, simply telling you drag and drop sheets you would like to have it in the dashboard. So you'll find that in the left side here, right? You have all your sheets which is being previously created as here, right? All your sheets. Let me draw it again just to be in the same line, right? All your sheets here, line chart, bar charts, even the content, whatever sheets being created. See, so you can just combine now multiple sheets to create your dashboard. So for example, if I click this one, I know that this one, see, if I just hover over, you'll see that it's showing your bar chart. So if I drag and drop it here, see it's coming as a complete one. And even it's having the region here. Okay. You can, for example, remove it or keep it as you like. Let's keep it for now. Now let's take the line chart. I can drag and drop it to the left or even the bottom. You see, this is just highlighting where you can find it. So I'll, for example, drag it on the bottom down. See, now it's coming also as a line chart. Now let's say that here, I would like to take this scatter diagram as well. So I would like to take it, for example, here in the left. So it will split the top side into C, this one and this one. Now let's say we didn't have histogram yet, right? So let's say, for example, I would like to take the other scatter chart to add it down, or the filter one, this one, to add it down here, okay? So you'll find now you have all your data, and you have your you can your legend on top here. You can even remove it or keep it as you wish. This is depending on what you need. Even you can little bit extend to the left. This can be manually done. There is many things about the dashboard. I will be discussing this with later on. But just what I would like to, in the advanced session, what I would like to alert to you that whatever you do, and for example, this one, assume this is in sheet scatter chart with, right, with aggregation. If I want there, and I did any modification here, let's assume now I just take out these samples. Okay, I will take it out, exclude. Okay, then I'm expecting when I go down dashboard, this will be applied here. See, so whatever you do in the charts, it will be applied here. And going back to that dashboard here as well, you can just jump direct to the sheets through clicking the top here. As you can see, go to the sheet, this particular area. Okay, and also if you right click here and you, for example, exclude it, it can be applied here as well. And if you go back to your sheet, that you'll find it's applied there as well. So this is just, you have to remember whatever changes you do here or there, it will be applied here and there as well. But the things that we can discuss later on, whenever you highlight something here, it should have interactive. For example, when I highlight something here, it should be reflected in the others. This is, I will discuss in details, with more details, with separate sessions about the dashboard and how to make it more advanced and so on. So since I didn't cover all the charts, this will be done later on. So again, whenever you need any chart, what you need to do, just click and show me, get the explanation, and try to understand what kind of data needed to do this and that. Okay, this is what you need to do in general. So this was the part about that part. Now let me end for you. Let's say that I would like now to update my data source to add more data, and I would like to refresh it to get this data updated. So this will be the last part of today's session, and this will make you now being able to import your data, create your charts, make filters, apply your dashboard, and start working directly with Tableau. Whatever comes after, it will be very advanced, taking from like medium level up to the advanced level, then we go to the expert. So now let's go to the data source. Again, remember, whenever you need to go to the source, you need to click in the down left here just to play around in your data source. So now I'm clicking my data source. Going back to my data source, this is the data I would like here. If you remember, this was, if I double click here, this using which sheet, the original physical sheet, 5G Tableau, data Tableau, okay, which is this one. The other sheet, actually, this one, which is 2. This is including exactly the same data, I mean same data format, but having another information. For example, it having different sites with different traffic, different information and so on, but exactly the same format. So now I would like, for example, to do one thing. I need to add this one, append it to this one, and just make a combined data together to refresh my data and see how it's being reflected. Let's see what we have here in this data. If you click into this arrow here, in this area here, it will just give you a view about the data, okay? So let's do this here. See, it's opening now the data. You'll find that it's exactly the same format, 40 fields as well, okay? But less rows and so on. So you find, for example, you had having region, date, active user, still name, but here, for example, E and other one. So this is different. So now I would like to see how we can combine both together and then how to refresh my data. So I will just need to drag and drop it, and here, see it say drag table to union. Union means it will be appending on top of it. So let's drag and drop it. Now if I double click here, it's already double click. If I close it now, okay, I need to know what's happening. See, now it's coming here. It's E now. E is coming. We didn't used to have E here, but I would like to confirm now how many data sources we have here. Right click here. Then I make a double click here first. Then you need to right click. Then, for example, here you see that convert union. As you know, this is already union as I discussed with you. But actually, it seems that it's not union. It seems that I replaced table 1 with table 2. So I need to convert to union. See, now it's just giving me this information. Usually you can drag and drop, as I mentioned before, but it didn't work. So I just need to drag and drop. If you have something manual and something wildcard, I'll explain the advanced one later on. So I just drag and drop this one here. Then I have both tables. I know if I added any additional information here, I will show an example shortly. It will be coming here and you can drag it and drop it. So now I apply. Now I have 2 table union, right? Now expecting all the information will be coming now. See now in north, east, south, and so on. So now let's go back to the data source. I'm expecting now this all information will be updated. Now let's go to the sheet to see whether we have additional information or not. So now I'm opening now the line chart. For example, now I still see I can see only CNN. Why? Because if you look into the region now, click here, you'll find edit filter. You'll find now the additional information is coming, which is east or E and S, right? I click here. Now see what will happen. Now also the site ID, I think we're doing a filtering before. So we just need to remove all the filters, apply. So when I checked, I found that the dates, for example, here, we need to also select all the dates because the other regions using different dates. So I click apply. Okay, so now we find that all the regions C, E, and NS is coming. So now let's try to do other thing, just to filter on the new one, which is none, East, and for example, it was, yeah, I think S. Let's see what we have. Now only ES, S and coming, which is very few for S, but E and S is coming. Now go to the line chart. See now this is the line chart. We have only 2 E and S. If I make again the region for the others, it will be coming, and so on and so forth. Now, what will happen if I added a new data information? For example, I'll go back to the data source. If I added new data information to the same folder, I'm expecting this will be coming here once I make refresh. Let's see. I will add and we'll see. So here in my data information, I'll just copy paste whatever I have just to have more. I just copy pasting. So I'm expecting once I refresh, these 3 will be coming in my Tableau. So since so far it didn't come, as you can see in the left side here, we didn't see anything, right? So what we need to do, we just need to click in the top refresh icon here. I just click refresh and see. See now, it's coming. Let's drag and yeah, this one is here. See, it's all coming now, but it's not being added to my data source because I need to do this manually for the meantime. There is an automatic way. I'll do it later on, but I would click, and if I make like this edit union, if you would like to drop and drop the new folder, just drag and drop it here to get all the information here. Later on, I'll explain how to do this automatic in case you would like to take data to import data with a specific format from a specific folder. Whatever you need, you can do this automatic, and also be discussing more details about the relation, the editing, and so all these kind of things. So Today we covered the most important and needed information about Tableau, which you can directly use this session to start building your dashboards. Later on, I will be covering much details just to be able to help you to build your detailed end-to-end templates, which can you help you in analysis and so on. Thank you very much for today's video. And I hope if you like the content and the video, just to click follow and to click like and to add your comments. And also I'll be dropping all this information in the, the templates which is being used and also the CSV files in the YouTube video. So thank you very much and see you next video.